Hey there, you beautiful, chaotic masterpiece. Yeah, I'm talking to you, the one who keeps replaying the last conversation in your head, wondering if you were wrong for saying what you said, wondering if you should have kept quiet, wondering if you should have played nice just to keep the peace. Come on, lean in for a sec, because you need to hear this straight, unfiltered, exactly how it is. Listen. Nah, gang. Why did you say that? Let me tell you why. Because it was real. Because it was true. Because it was the one sentence no one else had the spine to drop. And now, look how everything is turning, but not on you. It turned on them. You ever notice how people love to act bold until somebody finally speaks the truth out loud? Everybody's tough until you say the thing that exposes the game they were running. And the second you open your mouth, boom! Suddenly the whole vibe flips. Suddenly they start scrambling. Suddenly they start pointing fingers. Suddenly their little alliance collapses like a cheap plastic table at a family cookout. And you're standing there like, all I did was say what y'all been pretending not to see. But that's the funny part, isn't it? They wanted you silent. They wanted you timid. They wanted you nervous, apologizing for breathing too loud. But the moment you spoke, the moment you said that one thing, they felt the ground shake beneath their feet. Let me tell you something you keep forgetting. You were never the problem. You were the mirror. And people hate mirrors when they're dusty on the inside. You didn't start chaos. You revealed it. You didn't break their circle. You exposed it was already cracked. You didn't destroy their peace. You showed it was just a cover-up for manipulation. And now, the truth is out. And everyone's acting shocked, like they didn't know damn well what they were doing behind your back. Look how everything turned on them. Look who's panicking. Look who's losing composure. Look who's suddenly trying to explain. Look who's rewriting the story. Look who's popping up with fake calmness, like, no, it's not that deep. Nah, it is that deep, fam. It was always that deep. They just didn't expect you to be the one bold enough to drag it to the surface. You know what's wild? People will do you dirty with full confidence until somebody mentions the truth. Then suddenly they become motivational speakers, talking about growth and peace, and we should all move forward. Oh, now you want to move forward. Where was this energy when they were laughing at your silence? Where was this energy when they were playing with your name? Where was this energy when they were nudging each other behind your back? Like you couldn't feel the tension in the room. Nah, gang. You said what needed to be said. You shook the table. You snapped the illusion. You flipped the script they were writing you out of. And you gotta stop acting like you did something wrong for finally choosing yourself. Because deep down, you feel that little guilt, don't you? That, maybe I shouldn't have said it like that. But let me tell you something in the most animus morphosis way possible. Some truths can't be whispered. Some truths deserve to be dropped like a bomb. Some truths are meant to make the room uncomfortable. And you were the detonator because nobody else had the courage to risk the fallout. You're not the villain. You're the catalyst. You're the plot twist. You're the moment the audience sits up in their seats and goes, oh, this just got interesting. And let's be real, they underestimated you. They built their entire strategy assuming you would stay quiet, assuming you would keep absorbing their disrespect like it was your responsibility to maintain their comfort, assuming you would keep shrinking so they could keep growing. But you didn't shrink this time. You expanded. You hit them with a truth so sharp, it sliced the whole storyline. open. And now they're dealing with consequences they created. Look at them, running around trying to fix a narrative they broke, trying to gather support from people who already know the truth, trying to act confused like they don't understand why things suddenly changed. Things didn't suddenly change. You just stopped playing the role they wrote for you. And you know what happens when a character refuses to follow the script. The whole story collapses. That's what's happening. That's why everything flipped on them, not you. You're walking forward with clarity. They're stumbling backward with exposure. You're not spiraling. They are. You're not scrambling. They are. You're not the one losing sleep. They are. Replaying your words in their head like an echo that won't shut up. Because what you said, it stuck. It landed. It hit a nerve they didn't want touched. And here's the beautiful, twisted part. You didn't even lie. You didn't exaggerate. You didn't invent anything. You simply said what was real. And the truth is, the one thing a guilty conscience can never outrun. So keep that chin up. Keep that energy steady. Keep that awareness sharp. Because this whole situation didn't break you. It revealed you. And it didn't expose you. It exposed them. You were the storm warning they ignored. You were the alarm they tried to silence. You were the truth bomb they prayed would never detonate. But the countdown hit 0 the moment you opened your mouth. And here we are. Everything turning, everything shifting, everything unraveling right in front of them. All because you said that one thing they never expected you to say. All because you finally chose honesty over comfort. All because you stopped protecting people who wouldn't even protect your name when you weren't in the room. And now, they're left holding the fallout while you stand there realizing something you should have known a long time ago. Your voice is dangerous to people who built their power on your silence. Because once that truth left your mouth, everything shifted in a way they can't reverse. And you can feel it, can't you? That weird mix of relief and adrenaline, that sudden clarity, like your mind finally took a deep breath after holding it way too long. You're sitting there trying to process it, replaying every word you said, wondering if maybe you went too far, but deep down, you know you didn't. Deep down, you know that sentence was living inside you for months, maybe years, building pressure like a shaken bottle just waiting for someone to twist the cap. And when you finally said it, when you finally cracked open that bottle, the explosion wasn't on you, it was around you. People started revealing who they always were. You started seeing their real faces, their real motives, the real energy behind their smiles. It's wild how fast people switch up when the truth hits the table. It's like, wait, you're reacting this hard to something you claim isn't even true? That reaction alone tells you everything. You ever notice how the loudest people fall the hardest? The ones who are talking the most, laughing the most, acting the most confident, suddenly looking like someone unplugged them. Their vibe drops from 100 to 0 real quick. They start clinging to excuses, rewriting history mid-sentence, trying to gather allies, like this is some social war they can still win. You can almost hear the panic under their voice when they say, that's not what happened. Even though you both know damn well that's exactly what happened. What you said didn't expose a situation. It exposed character. It exposed patterns. It exposed the stuff they thought they buried under fake positivity and forced smiles. And the people watching. Oh, they noticed. Even the quiet ones. Even the neutral ones. Even the ones who pretend they don't care. They saw the cracks. They felt the tension. They understood who was being real and who was performing. There's this thing people do. They mistake your silence for weakness, like you're too scared to speak, too timid to defend yourself, too soft to disrupt the atmosphere. But you weren't scared. You were observing. You weren't timid. You were collecting receipts. You weren't soft. You were patient. And patience always hits different when it finally bites back. It's that moment where you realize you weren't outnumbered. You were outgrowing everyone in the room. That's why it felt uncomfortable. That's why the energy was weird. That's why your spirit felt too big for the space they were trying to keep you in. And the second you spoke that truth, the room shrank around them instead of you. You could almost feel their confidence leak out like air escaping a balloon. And you're probably sitting there thinking, why do they look guilty if they didn't do anything wrong? Because guilt has a face, and when you drop the truth, that face can't hide anymore. You saw it. You saw the tension around their mouth. You saw the shift in eye contact. You saw them get defensive over things you didn't even accuse them of. That's how you know you hit the real issue. Every time someone gets exposed, they run through the same stages: shock, denial, victimhood, blame shifting, quiet, plotting. You've seen it before. You're watching it unfold again. The difference this time is you're not shaken by it. You're not chasing their validation. You're not letting their reactions override your clarity. You're just standing there with that quiet, dangerous calm, like, yeah, I said it. And what? That calmness freaks them out because they expected you to crumble after speaking up. They expected you to second-guess yourself, to come back apologizing, to downplay what you said for the sake of keeping the peace. But peace built on lies isn't peace. It's a performance, and you stopped acting. That's the real plot twist. And the more they scramble, the more you realize they weren't prepared for the version of you that finally trusts your own voice. They were used to the version of you that swallowed every emotion, every frustration, every truth, just to avoid drama. They built their comfort on your silence, and now that silence is gone, they don't know who they are without the power they had over your restraint. It hits different when you stop shrinking. It hits different when you stop letting things slide. It hits different when you stop pretending you don't notice the disrespect. You saw everything they did, everything they said, every moment they thought you wouldn't catch. And you held it, and you held it, and you held it, until you didn't. And that one moment, just one sentence, one truth, one "I'm not playing along anymore," shifted the entire terrain under their feet, like the ground finally refused to hold their lies upright. Everything they built on your silence is collapsing, and you can feel them losing that fake stability while you're finding your real one. And you're not looking back, because once you taste the freedom of saying what you should have said a long time ago, you can't go back to swallowing it anymore. And it's crazy, because once that switch flips inside you, everything around you starts revealing itself in ways you didn't even expect. You start noticing who suddenly gets quiet when you walk into the room, who avoids eye contact, who starts over-explaining things you didn't even ask about. It's like your truth turned into a spotlight, and everybody's scrambling, trying to stay out of the brightness because deep down, they know it exposes the stuff they thought was hidden. You ever catch someone doing that awkward laugh? That It's not that serious laugh. That's guilt trying to wear a mask. That's someone who didn't expect to get called out, pretending everything is fine even though their whole nervous system is vibrating. And the funniest part is, they still try to convince themselves that they're in control, even while their whole energy is screaming panic. What you said didn't just shake their image, it shook their foundation. You touched the part of them they spend their whole life protecting, that fragile ego that can't handle being seen clearly. You cracked it open with one sentence, and the ripple effect is hitting everything connected to them. They're trying to glue the cracks together with excuses and half-truths. But everybody can see the glue dripping down. And the people around them, they're watching all of this unfold like, damn, this is what happens when the quiet one finally snaps. Because you were never the loud type. You were the observant one. The one who watched every move, every pattern, every inconsistency. And when the observant one talks, it hits different. It's sharper, it's cleaner, it's unavoidable. You're starting to feel this strange power in your chest, this steady confidence you didn't even know was growing inside you. It's like your voice unlocked a door in your own identity. That moment you spoke the truth wasn't an outburst. It was a breakthrough. You weren't reacting, you were evolving, and while they're scrambling to do damage control, you're just sitting there like, I didn't even mean to start all this. I just told the truth. And that's what scares them. The fact that your honesty carries more weight than their entire performance. You can tell who got exposed by who distances themselves from you. They're hoping space will hide their guilt, but distance just makes the truth louder. And you can see it in their behavior, how they suddenly start posting fake inspirational quotes, acting like they're deep and self-aware, trying to spin the narrative into something that paints them as misunderstood instead of caught. That's the modern-day mask. Pretend to be wise when you're really just running from accountability. And the thing is, you're not even chasing them. You're not correcting their lies. You're not defending yourself. You're not arguing. You're just existing louder than their excuses, and it's unraveling them in real time. There's this calm destruction in you now, this unbothered strength that feels almost unfamiliar. You're learning that silence hits harder when it comes from someone who already dropped the truth and doesn't need to say anything else. You're feeling the shift internally, too. The air is different, your thoughts are cleaner, your spirit feels lighter, like you finally put down a weight you didn't even realize you were carrying. That's what happens when you stop swallowing your words. Your body stops holding the tension of everything you kept inside. There's a clarity settling into you. Like your soul can finally stretch out without bumping into all the noise you used to tolerate. And while you're adjusting to this new version of yourself, they're adjusting to their new reality. A reality where they can't hide behind your silence anymore. A reality where their actions echo louder than their explanations. A reality where their intentions are no longer protected by your restraint. And they're not built for that kind of exposure. You can see it in every twitch, every defensive reaction, every sudden need to clear the air or explain their side, even when nobody asked. It's wild how quickly everything flips the moment you stop letting things slide. One truth creates a domino effect that exposes every lie stacked behind it. You didn't know the full chain reaction your words would start, but you can see it happening piece by piece, face by face, reaction by reaction. And you're realizing something deeper than you expected. Something that's hitting you like a punchline. You didn't see coming. You weren't the one who changed. You were the one who stopped pretending you didn't see what was always there. and it hits you in this slow, creeping way, like your mind is finally catching up to what your spirit already knew. You start replaying old moments with new eyes, and suddenly everything makes sense in a way it never did before. All those little jokes that felt a bit too pointed, all those accidental comments that cut a little too close, all those times they brushed off your feelings like you were being dramatic. You realize you weren't overreacting. You were overliving in a space that didn't deserve the version of you that kept giving them the benefit of the doubt. And that realization has this weird sting to it. It's not pain. It's clarity mixed with disgust, mixed with a little bit of embarrassment. Like, how did I not see this sooner? But that's the thing. You did see it. You just kept making excuses because you're loyal in a way they don't even know how to be. You're the type who tries to understand people's intentions, tries to give grace, tries to keep the peace, even when it comes at your own expense. And they took advantage of that softness, calling it weakness because they weren't smart enough to understand. It was a strength. But the moment you said that truth, the moment that one sentence left your mouth, everything inside you aligned, something snapped into place. And once that alignment hits, you can't unsee anything anymore. It's like someone wiped fog off a window you've been staring through your whole life. The view didn't change, your vision did. And the people who benefited from your blurry vision are terrified of the clarity you have now. You ever watched someone try to act normal when their whole mask is slipping? It's uncomfortable in a funny way. They start doing too much, over-explaining, over-apologizing, over-performing, hoping you'll slip back into the old version of you that didn't notice the inconsistencies. They're like, anyway, I've been meaning to talk to you, trying to act casual while their voice cracks every third word. They're trying to regain an equilibrium that only existed when you doubted yourself and your silence after speaking that truth. Oh, that silence is brutal. It's surgical. It's the kind of silence that makes people talk themselves into deeper holes, revealing things you never asked about. There's this power in saying nothing after you say everything, a power they didn't expect you to wield. Because you're not chasing closure, you're not chasing explanations, you're not chasing apologies, you're not chasing validation, you're just observing their unraveling, and the calm in you is louder than their entire storyline. And the wild part is, you're not even angry anymore, you're just awake. Awake in a way that feels permanent, like some part of you unlocked a version of yourself you didn't know you had access to. It's not aggression, it's not revenge, it's not spite, it's awareness. And awareness hits harder than rage ever could. Rage burns hot and fades fast. Awareness burns slow and changes everything. You can feel that awareness shaping how you talk, how you move, how you respond. It's in the way you pause before reacting, the way you see through people's tone, the way you don't get pulled into their emotional traps like before. You're watching them try the same tactics that used to work on you. Guilt, confusion, jokes, minimization. And none of it lands anymore. It's almost awkward watching them attempt it, like seeing an old magician repeat tricks you already learned the secrets to. There's this shift in your posture, too. This subtle straightening of your spine that you didn't even notice until someone pointed it out. That shift is confidence. Not loud, flashy confidence, but the quiet kind that doesn't need to announce itself. The kind you can feel in your bones. The kind that scares people who were used to manipulating the insecure version of you they thought you'd always be. Hold on, before you scroll, look me in the eyes for a second. Yeah, you. I heard about what you did last night, and, we need to unpack that. What you did. Yesterday night, it silenced parts of them forever. You ever notice how people get real bold when they think you're predictable? How they start talking to you like you're some character they programmed. Like they know your reactions, your patience, your breaking points. Yeah, last night, you shattered that illusion. And don't play humble about it. What you did wasn't just a moment. It wasn't nothing serious. It was a shift, a psychological event. The kind of move that turns a person's whole belief system inside out. Because the truth is, they depended on your softness. They counted on your consistency. They thrived off your silence. But last night, you acted differently. You moved with intention. You responded from a place they never prepared for. And the crazy part? You didn't even do it to hurt them. That's what scares them the most. See, people can handle anger. People can handle drama. People can handle shouting and slammed doors. Because all of that still comes from a place of attachment. But indifference, devolution, a shift in your internal frequency, that's the one thing they can't fight. And that's what you gave them last night. You showed them a version of you that doesn't bend backward anymore. A version that doesn't apologize for outgrowing the conversations, the dynamics, the identities they tried to freeze you in. A version that doesn't jump at the sound of their disappointment. You ever see someone go quiet because they're trying to understand how they lost control of the situation? That's the silence you created. You silenced the part of them that believed you'd always be predictable. You silenced the part of them that relied on your hesitation. You silenced the part that thought they could always tap into your insecurities like flipping a switch. Last night, you didn't give them a switch. You gave them a blackout. And, let's be real here. People don't fear your loudest moments. They fear your calmest decisions. Your, I'm done participating in this behavior decisions. Your, I'm not feeding your ego anymore decisions. You want to know why it shook them so hard? Because there was no warning, no explosion, no meltdown. Just clarity. Cold, sharp, bone-deep clarity. Clarity is scary. It exposes everything they tried to hide behind excuses, manipulation, or emotional shortcuts. Clarity forces people to confront the role they played. Clarity makes them realize you outgrew the version of yourself they were most comfortable controlling. And last night, you walked into your clarity like it was nothing, like you'd been waiting for it, like it finally fit. That's why they felt that silence. That silence wasn't awkward. It was grief. It was ego death. It was the moment they realized they lost a version of you they'll never see again. You didn't need to announce anything. You didn't need to justify anything. Your presence, or lack of it, carried all the weight. Last night, you took your power back without asking for permission. You stepped into a part of yourself that was always there but finally woke up. And when that part awakened, it shut down the part of them that expected your compliance. You ever break someone's internal compass just by choosing yourself? That's what you did. You made them replay everything, every decision, every word, every entitlement they carried. Because suddenly the old dynamics weren't working. You didn't fold. You didn't flinch. You didn't chase. You rose. And when you rise, they fall silent. Not because they're processing you, but because they're processing themselves for the first time, without the comfort of blaming you. Last night was more than a moment. It was more than a shift. It was a reset, a reintroduction, a psychological earthquake. And the aftershock, that silence you felt. It wasn't the end. It was the beginning of you becoming someone they don't get to define anymore. And the wildest part is how quickly people notice the shift, even if you don't spell it out. It's like, your energy walked into the room before you did and rewrote the whole atmosphere. You ever watch someone pretend they're unbothered while their chest is practically caving in? That's the kind of psychological chokehold your evolution has on them right now. Because once you stop responding the way they're used to, once you stop giving them the same emotional access they built their comfort on, something primal kicks in for them. A kind of panic. A kind of, oh damn, I think I lost something important. Panic. A kind of, how do I get that version of them back? Panic. But the thing is, that version of you, it's gone. It didn't die. It just matured. It just stopped accepting cheap emotional shortcuts. It stopped volunteering for situations that drained you. It stopped letting people rent space in your mind for free. And, when someone realizes they can't trigger you the way they used to, that's when the silence hits them the hardest. It's not the silence between you two. It's the silence inside them, the quiet that happens when the noise of their excuses finally collapses. People don't get quiet when they're at peace. People get quiet when they get exposed, when the mirror in front of them suddenly becomes high definition and they can't look away. And you turned that mirror toward them last night without even trying, just by existing with more self-respect, just by breathing differently, just by choosing a path they never imagined you'd take. It's funny how they thought you'd always wait, thought you'd always show up, thought they could show you half effort and you'd be grateful for scraps. Your growth slapped that delusion right out of their hands, and the silence that followed, that wasn't them thinking. It was them recovering from the blow. It was them realizing your patience wasn't a weakness. It was a limited time offer. You ever notice how people act stunned when you stop entertaining their chaos? Like you're the one who changed the rules when in reality you just stopped letting them bend you backward? That's the kind of internal short circuit they're dealing with right now. That's why their voice got thin. That's why their eyes dropped. That's why their whole vibe got weird and shaky. Because deep down, they know the power dynamic flipped without you raising a single finger. There's this moment people experience when they lose access to a version of you they took for granted. It feels like a door slammed shut behind them, and when they try to open it again, the handle doesn't turn. That's the silence you left them with. A locked door silence. They can hear you moving on behind it, silence, and they don't know what to do with that. They don't know how to navigate a world where you aren't the one over-explaining, over-apologizing, over-caring. They don't know how to interact with the version of you that doesn't break at their disappointment. They don't know how to approach someone who finally sees their value without needing a reminder. That's why they keep replaying last night in their head, trying to figure out the exact moment the ground shifted, trying to locate the second they lost influence, trying to decode how you went from someone they could read to someone who suddenly speaks a language they never learned. And, that's the most empowering part of all this. You didn't plan it. It wasn't a performance. It wasn't some dramatic act. It was a natural response to outgrowing the old version of yourself. You stepped into a new psychological terrain. You started carrying yourself like someone who knows their worth in full, not like someone begging for a partial payment. And when you operate from that place, When you stop shrinking to fit into the spaces people offer you. When you stop allowing your empathy to be exploited like a weakness, their silence becomes the soundtrack of your evolution. Their discomfort becomes proof of your growth. Their shock becomes confirmation that you finally broke the pattern. Their stillness becomes the echo of everything they never expected you to become. And the more that silence stretches, the more you start noticing something wild about yourself, too. You're not panicking. You're not second-guessing. You're not scrambling to fix anything. You're just steady, calm in a way that feels almost unfamiliar. Like you finally slipped into the version of yourself you were supposed to be wearing all along. It's kinda crazy how quickly your nervous system adjusts when you stop trying to please people who benefited from your confusion. Like your chest feels lighter, your mind feels sharper, your spirit feels uncluttered. And while you're standing there in that clarity, they're dealing with the internal fallout of losing access to the emotional buttons they used to press so easily. You ever watch someone reach for a switch that doesn't exist anymore? That confused, almost embarrassed look. That silent, wait, what? Moment. That's them, right now, trying to reconcile the fact that the person they thought they had on emotional lock just became someone they don't know how to approach. Because you didn't just change your behavior, you changed your frequency. You stopped responding from fear or guilt or habit. You started responding from awareness, from grounding, from self-respect that doesn't crack under pressure. And that kind of change? It isn't small. It's not something people can ignore just because you deliver it quietly. Quiet evolution is the kind that hits the hardest. Quiet evolution is the kind that sticks. Quiet evolution is the kind that forces people to confront the gap between who they thought you were and who you actually are. They keep replaying last night because they're searching for the version of you that made them feel safe in their patterns. A version that doesn't exist anymore. A version that grew out of the frame they built around you. A version that finally realized your presence is not an obligation, it's a privilege. And the thing that eats at them the most is how natural it looked on you. How unbothered you were. How you didn't hesitate. How you didn't wobble. How you didn't collapse into old behaviors out of nostalgia or emotional muscle memory. You just stood there differently, moved differently, spoke differently, chose differently. People underestimate how loud a small shift can be. They think you have to scream to make an impact. But the truth is, nothing hits harder than a person who finally aligns with themselves after months, maybe years, of bending. You ever notice the moment your eyes stop apologizing? The moment your voice stops shrinking? The moment you breathe like you own your existence again? That's the version of you they saw last night, and it shook something deep inside them, not just because you changed, but because your change forced them to see everything about themselves they've been avoiding. And while they sit in that silence, trying to rebuild their sense of control from scratch, you're stepping into a space inside yourself that feels like a whole new room you didn't realize you had access to. A room with better air, cleaner light, sharper edges, more truth. And the farther you walk into that space, the smaller their old expectations start to feel. Like clothes you used to squeeze into because you didn't know you were allowed better. Like conversations you tolerated because you hadn't yet learned how loudly your absence could speak. Like connections you clung to because you hadn't realized you were carrying their weight more than your own. It's wild, right? How one night can do that. How one decision can flip the entire emotional architecture of a dynamic you thought was unbreakable. How one moment of clarity can silence not just their reactions, but the version of you that used to react to them. And you can almost feel it, this sense that something in your story just pulled forward, like the timeline shifted, like the next chapter started writing itself the second you stopped shrinking for people who loved the smaller version of you. And the more you settle into that new chapter, the more you start noticing these tiny, almost hidden details in yourself. Like the way your body doesn't tense up the same way it used to. The way your breathing feels deeper, steadier, like you finally stopped bracing for impact. The way your mind isn't spinning in circles trying to decode someone else's emotions before your own. It's subtle, but it's real. It's like your whole system realized you're finally choosing yourself without flinching. And that internal shift, it's powerful in a way most people never experience because they're too scared to break their own patterns. But you did. Last night you cracked something open in yourself, and at the exact same time, you closed something off in them, not out of spite, out of alignment, out of clarity, out of a sense of self-worth that doesn't negotiate its price anymore. And they felt that, even if they'd never admit it, even if they act like nothing happened, even if they pretend they're unbothered. You can feel the truth underneath their performance, the shift in their tone, the slower replies, the carefulness in their words, that little pause before they respond, like they're trying to figure out how much of the old version of you still exists. Because they're confused. They're trying to understand how you walked out of an old identity without stumbling. They're trying to understand how you just slipped out of their emotional grip without warning. They're trying to understand when the person they took for granted turned into someone they can't predict anymore. And, there's something almost poetic about that. How your quiet strength disrupted the comfort they built on your old wounds. How your new boundaries exposed their lack of accountability. How your energy stopped pouring into places that only offered you half light and half love. You started moving like someone who finally understood their own rarity. Not in an arrogant way, but in a grounded, unshakable way. The kind of way that says, I'm not going back to the version of me you got away with hurting. And that's what silenced them. Not your words, not your actions, your evolution. People get loud when they think they still have power. People get quiet when they realize they don't. And their silence, right now, it's the sound of you taking up space they never imagined you'd claim. You're carrying yourself with this new internal weight. Not heavy, just undeniable. You're showing up like someone who finally stopped asking, am I enough? And started saying, this is me. This is me. Even if it makes you uncomfortable, this is me. Even if you don't understand the shift, this is me. Even if certain people aren't built to meet me here. And, once you taste that kind of internal alignment, once you feel your spirit stop apologizing for its own existence, there's no going back to the version of you that kept trying to shrink itself into someone else's comfort zone. That's why last night keeps echoing in their head. It wasn't the moment itself. It was what the moment revealed. It showed them who you're becoming. It showed them who they're not. It showed them the gap between your growth and their stagnation. And the silence between you two. That silence is stretching because they're realizing the old emotional shortcuts don't work on you anymore. The old dynamics don't fit. The old power games don't land. The old versions of you they depended on have dissolved into someone stronger, sharper, more self-aware. And without that version of you, they're staring at themselves with nothing to hide behind and nothing to pull you back with, while you keep stepping further into a version of your life that finally feels like it's being written by you instead of borrowed from their expectations. And you can feel it in the way the air changes whenever you step into a room now. Like people are suddenly trying to read you, trying to measure you, trying to figure out what version of you they're dealing with. Because the old one, the overly patient one, the overly forgiving one, the overly available one, that one isn't showing up anymore. It's almost funny how people react when they realize the emotional access they used to have is gone. They start tiptoeing. They start testing the waters with these soft little questions, trying to see if you'll break character and go back to the version of you they're comfortable with. But you're not breaking anything this time. You're not folding yourself into their expectations. You're not stepping backward into an identity that required you to abandon your own needs just to keep the peace. And that's the part that hits them the hardest. You're finally at peace without them dictating the terms. You're steady in a way they didn't expect. You're grounded in a way that exposes their instability. People always assume you'll stay the same when they're the ones benefiting from your softness. But the moment you start valuing yourself, the moment you start treating your own spirit with the same care you used to give away so easily, that's when the entire dynamic shifts. And, they feel that shift like a bruise. A bruise you didn't put there on purpose, but one that formed because your growth forced their ego to confront the truth. It's wild how a single night, a single decision, can undo months, even years, of assumptions people built about you. How one moment of clarity can erase the illusion that they'll always know how to reach you, how to calm you down, how to pull your strings with predictable emotional shortcuts. They don't have a shortcut anymore. You closed that pathway. You changed the locks on doors they used to open freely. You reclaimed emotional real estate they thought they had a lifetime lease on. And while you're over here breathing easier, walking lighter, thinking clearer, they're replaying every interaction, trying to understand the new rules. Except there aren't rules. There's just you, finally choosing yourself in real time. It's kinda crazy how self-respect doesn't make you louder. It makes you quieter in a way that unnerves the people who used to thrive off your uncertainty. Your silence isn't empty anymore. It has weight, presence, intent. It carries boundaries instead of fear. They keep waiting for the old reactions, the over-explaining, the guilt-tripping yourself, the emotional bending, but nothing's coming. No apology, no undoing, no shrinking. You're just existing differently. And that existence is dismantling their confidence. They're not just silent because you hurt them. They're silent because you changed the emotional architecture they built their comfort on. You're not a role they can predict. You're not a pattern they can rely on. You're not a version of yourself they can use to validate their own stagnant growth. And while they're stuck analyzing the shift, you're stepping into this new emotional space where you don't need permission to feel secure, where you don't need approval to feel whole, where you don't need someone else's reaction to decide your worth. That's the real reason what you did last night hit them so deeply. It wasn't the action itself. It was what the action revealed about you and what it exposed about them. And you can almost sense it. This quiet, powerful momentum building under your ribs. This feeling that you're just starting to tap into a version of yourself that doesn't apologize for existing and doesn't shrink to fit into the emotional spaces people give you grudgingly, and doesn't hand over your peace just to keep someone else comfortable. Hello to everyone watching, especially you, the one sitting there wondering why the whole world is freaking out while you're just breathing. Yeah, you. Because apparently you're the only one who saw the storm before the clouds even showed up. Right? All right. Let's talk about that. You've noticed it, haven't you? The way people keep staring at you like you're some kind of walking spoiler alert for reality. How did you call this? How did you know? They whisper it with this shaky little voice, like you reached into the future and threw a reminder back into the present. And the crazy part is, you didn't even try. You were just paying attention. You were just awake while everybody else was busy pretending. And that kills them. See, people hate when you're right, especially when you're right early. It makes them feel late to their own lives. It makes them realize they weren't watching the signs. They weren't listening to their instincts. They weren't brave enough to say out loud what you said while the whole room was still laughing. And, it gets under their skin, doesn't it? Suddenly you're the threat. You're the anomaly. You're the one who must have some secret advantage. But you know the truth. You were just honest. And honesty terrifies people more than any villain ever could. Because when you call something before anyone sees it, you expose their blindness. You expose how much they rely on denial just to get through the day. You expose how fragile their confidence is. You expose the way they cling to comfort, like a child clinging to a nightlight. And you walked into the dark with both eyes open, and that's what separates you. See, they'll call you lucky. They'll call you weird. They'll call you dramatic. They'll call you intense. Anything but what you actually are. Ahead. Present. Uncomfortably aware. You're not just predicting, you're observing. You're not just guessing, you're decoding. You're not just reacting, you're responding. You've been through too much to miss the details. You've survived too much to ignore patterns. You've been cut too deeply not to recognize the shape of the knife when you see it again. So when the world shifts, even a little, you feel it like a sudden drop in temperature. Others feel vibes. You feel warnings. Others sense tension. You sense trajectory. And that's why they freak out. Because you keep seeing things they're not ready to admit. And every time you're right, it forces them to confront the fact that maybe, just maybe, you're not the one who's different. Maybe they're the ones who've been asleep. And they hate that idea. People don't want you to be right before it happens. They want you to be right after, nice and safe, with hindsight, with a crowd, with permission. But you open your mouth before the smoke appears, and suddenly you're the one setting off alarms nobody else wants to hear. You ever notice how your accuracy makes them uncomfortable? How your clarity makes them defensive? How your awareness makes them suspicious? They start asking who you're talking to, what you're reading, what you're tapped into. Like the only way you can see things is if someone invisible is whispering the script to you. Because the idea that you're just naturally sharp, naturally intuitive, naturally awake, that's too threatening for them to process. And the wildest part is, you didn't ask for this. You didn't sit there thinking, oh gee, I hope I freak people out today. Nah, this is just what happens when reality trains you the hard way. When life hands you lessons wrapped in pain, wrapped in betrayal, wrapped in silence. You didn't learn from books, you learned from broken moments. You didn't learn from lectures, you learned from losses. You didn't learn from comfort, you learned from chaos. That's why you see things before they happen. Because you've lived them before they happen. You've been through cycles. You've watched patterns repeat. You've felt energy shift. You've sensed people change before they even knew they were changing. Your awareness is not magic, it's muscle memory. But people who've never developed that muscle, they don't understand it. They can't understand it. So they label it strange. They label it dangerous. They label it unnatural. Because labeling is easier than leveling up. And, the fun part? You're not even at full power yet. You're just warming up. You're just beginning to trust your instincts. You're just starting to realize that your weird predictions are actually warnings, guidance, blueprints, premonitions born from experience. And when you start trusting yourself more than you trust their reactions, oh, that's when everything shifts. Because the moment you stop needing them to believe you is the moment your voice stops shaking. The moment your intuition stops whispering and starts roaring. The moment your identity stops shrinking to keep the peace and starts expanding to claim its space. You ever realize how heavy your silence is? How even when you're quiet, people still get nervous? How your stillness carries the weight of 1,000 observations? They're not scared of what you say. They're scared of what you notice. You walk into a room and people straighten up without knowing why. Not because you're intimidating, not because you're loud, but because something in you feels like you've already read the inside of their minds. You've already seen the next 3 moves. You've already decoded the whole atmosphere before they've even adjusted their seat. And, that's the thing. People aren't freaking out because you're unpredictable. They're freaking out because you are too predictable about everything else. You keep calling things before anyone sees them. You keep pointing at shadows before they become silhouettes. You keep connecting dots while others still don't realize a pattern exists. And deep down, they know why. They know it's not luck. They know it's not coincidence. They know it's not guessing. They know it's something born in you through pain, through pressure, through perspective. Because only people who've had everything fall apart learn how to see everything coming. Only people who've been hurt learn to analyze tone, micro-movements, inconsistencies, shifting behaviors. Only people who've lived in uncertainty learn to map out possibilities before anyone mentions the risk. Only people who've been blindsided learn how to avoid blind spots. You're not predicting. You're remembering. You're recognizing. You're reliving what the world keeps repeating. People are freaking out because you're ahead of the timeline. You're narrating chapters before others finish the paragraph. You're catching red flags before they get stitched into excuses. You're noticing exits before anyone realizes the building is heating up. They think you're strange, but really, you're prepared. They think you're dramatic, but really, you're accurate. They think you're intense, but really, you're honest. And they don't know what to do with someone who refuses to ignore the truth just to fit the mood. You walk around with this calm awareness, this unsettling clarity, this vibe that says, I already know how this plays out. And people who rely on illusions hate that. People who rely on pretending hate that. People who rely on denial hate that. Your presence disrupts their comfort. Your insight disrupts their narratives. Your accuracy disrupts their excuses. And, that's why they whisper. That's why they stare. That's why they ask, how did you call this before anyone saw it? Not because they want the answer, because they're scared of what you'll say next. And the funny thing is, you can feel their eyes on you even before they say anything. That tension in the air, that tiny shift when you walk in, like everyone suddenly pretends to be busy because they don't want you noticing that they're noticing you. It's wild, right? You're just existing, just breathing, and yet they act like you're carrying classified information in your back pocket. And deep down, they're terrified you might say something else they're not ready to hear, another truth they're not prepared to face, another prediction they can't handle because, well, your track record is kinda insane at this point. And, you ever catch that awkward moment when someone asks you a simple question, but their eyes are searching you like you've hacked into reality, like they're expecting you to reveal something that hasn't happened yet? They lean in a little, they lower their voice, they ask, "What do you think is gonna happen?" But what they mean is, "Tell me the future again, because clearly you have the cheat codes." You can sense their anxiety trying to camouflage itself as curiosity, but it's not. It's fear. It's the realization that you're the one who's been right while they've been comfortable. They don't understand yet that your clarity didn't come from comfort. It came from chaos. It came from being blindsided one too many times. It came from being underestimated until it sharpened you. It came from having to survive with eyes wide open because closing them wasn't an option. You became tuned in to patterns because ignoring them used to cost you peace. You learned the rhythms of people's behavior because you've lived through the fallout when you didn't. And, that's why the world feels predictable to you. Not because it's simple, but because you stopped pretending it's anything other than what it is. And you know what really rattles them? It's the fact that you don't even make a big deal out of being right. You're not bragging. You're not pounding on your chest. You're not trying to prove anything. You just say things casually, like you're commenting on the weather. And then suddenly those same things unfold exactly how you said they would. And that calm delivery, that nonchalant tone, that's what spooks them. Because people are used to confidence being loud, but yours is quiet, collected, clinical. You call things with the same tone someone uses to order coffee, and that unnerves them on a level they can't articulate. And, it's not your fault they didn't see it. It's not your job to dim your awareness just because someone else prefers the comfort of being oblivious. You've spent years training your instincts without even realizing it. Years decoding intentions behind words. Years watching how people behave when they think you're not paying attention. Years studying reactions, excuses, energy shifts, inconsistencies. While everyone else is busy chasing distractions, you're reading the room with surgical precision. That's why they freak out when your predictions land. Because they assume everyone else is functioning with the same level of awareness they have. And then here you are, operating like you downloaded the update before it was released. It exposes the gap between your perception and theirs, and that gap scares them. They don't want it to exist. They want to believe everyone is the same. Everyone sees the same things. Everyone processes the same signals. But you're proof that some people are just wired differently. There's this moment, when someone dismisses what you said at first, tries to wave it off as overthinking or paranoia. And then later, when everything starts unfolding exactly the way you mentioned, they come back with that look. That awkward, uncomfortable look. Not quite apology, not quite admiration. More like, I didn't believe you, but I wish I did. And you don't mock them. You don't rub it in. You don't say, I told you. You just let the silence speak for you. And that silence hits harder than any words ever could. And you know why? Because silence, coming from someone who sees the truth, feels like judgment without accusation. It feels like a reminder. It feels like a mirror they weren't ready to look into. And, People aren't scared of being wrong. They're scared of being wrong in front of someone who was right the whole time. You walk through life carrying this strange burden, the burden of awareness. While others walk into situations blindfolded, you walk in with a map, a compass, and a flashlight you never asked for. It's not a gift. It's not a superpower. It's the psychological scar tissue of experience. It's what happens when life forces you to grow eyes in places most people never look. And there's something else they don't realize. You're not trying to be early. You're trying to protect yourself, to stay ahead of chaos, to avoid old wounds reopening, to dodge disasters that used to hit you without warning. Your predictions aren't performances. They're survival instincts. They're emotional reflexes. They're mental habits shaped by a history nobody else had to carry. That's why people ask you how you knew. That's why they panic when you speak. That's why they whisper your name when things start to go wrong. Because deep down, they trust your instincts more than their own logic, even if they'll never admit it out loud. You've become the person they subconsciously check before making moves. The person they look toward when the room gets tense. The person whose reactions they monitor, because your intuition has a reputation now, and that reputation walks into the room before you do. And, that's why they freeze when you raise an eyebrow. That's why they shift when you go quiet. That's why they pay attention when your tone changes. They've seen what happens when you speak. They've watched reality catch up to your insight again and again. They've felt the impact of your clarity long before they understood it. And you're not even done speaking yet. And, you can feel it building every time you open your mouth. That quiet tension, that little ripple in the atmosphere, like everyone's bracing themselves without even knowing why. It's almost hilarious, honestly. You're just continuing a sentence, just expressing a thought, and suddenly people act like you're pulling the fire alarm on reality again. They sit up straighter, their breathing changes, their eyes widen just a touch. Tiny details you catch because you've always caught the tiny details. And it hits you in that moment, like, wow. They're not even listening to the words anymore. They're listening to the pattern. They're listening to your track record. They're listening to your accuracy echoing behind every syllable. And, you ever notice how people react when you pause mid-sentence? That half-second silence you take to gather your thoughts. It sends them into full analysis mode. They're leaning forward, reading your face, trying to decode whether that silence means something big is coming. They're scared of what you'll say and scared of what you won't. Because sometimes your silence is louder than your predictions, and that terrifies them even more. They know what happened the last time you hesitated. You ended up being right about something they laughed off, something they brushed aside, something they weren't emotionally prepared to confront. And honestly, it's kinda surreal. Being treated like you're holding some invisible script no one else can access. Like you're 3 steps ahead in a game they didn't realize they were playing. People keep asking how you see things early, but the truth they don't want to accept is that you've been forced to live in early mode your whole life. You've had to anticipate people's moods, reactions, shifts, betrayals, opportunities, exits. You've had to predict outcomes just to stay emotionally afloat. You developed that awareness because you didn't have the luxury of being caught off guard. Not again. Not after everything. And, isn't it funny how they admire the results but resent the process? They love when you're right because it benefits them, but they hate what it says about their own lack of perception. They hype you up publicly, Wow, you called it. But quietly, they're wondering how many other things you've already figured out about them, about the situation, about the dynamics they thought they were hiding. They act shocked, but deep down they're thinking, if they knew that about the future, what do they know about me? And you pick up on that too. The discomfort, the anxiety, the way people start choosing their words more carefully around you. Not because you're judgmental, but because your mind is too fast for their masks. You don't fall for performative kindness. You don't take dramatic reactions at face value. You don't get fooled by loud confidence or quiet manipulation. Your intuition slices through all of it, and people can feel that. They can feel that you're not just hearing them, you're reading them. You walk into conversations with this subtle, unnerving awareness, like you're scanning the whole emotional blueprint without even trying. And, you're not trying to intimidate anyone. You're just trying to exist. But existing at your level feels like intimidation to people who aren't comfortable with themselves. They confuse your clarity for confrontation. They confuse your intuition for intrusion. They confuse your insight for exposure. And the wild thing is, you're not even speaking at full volume yet. You're still holding back pieces, still softening edges, still choosing not to mention certain things, because you already know they're not ready for it. You've learned that people don't actually want the truth. They want the comfortable version of it. They want predictions that make them feel smart, not ones that make them feel seen. But your intuition doesn't care about their comfort. Your insight doesn't bend for their convenience. Your awareness doesn't shrink just to keep the room calm. And, that's what makes them freak out even more. Because your presence alone disrupts their denial. Because your voice carries the weight of accuracy they've witnessed firsthand. Because your instincts have proven themselves too many times to ignore. They can't brush you off anymore. They can't laugh it away. They can't hide behind coincidence. Not after everything you've called out. Not after everything unfolded exactly the way you said it would. You've become this quiet force people can't fully categorize. Not a threat, not a hero, not an outsider. Just someone who sees too much, too early, too clearly. Someone who listens with the kind of intensity that makes people rethink their entire sentence halfway through. Someone who pays attention to details they didn't even know they were revealing. And, you're aware of it, aren't you? You feel that distance growing. Not a lonely distance, but a respect-filled one. People don't get too close because they don't want to accidentally expose something. They don't challenge you because they've learned that the second they do, you're going to articulate something they can't unhear. They don't underestimate you because underestimating you has consequences for their ego. You've become the person whose instincts people study. The person they low-key rely on but pretend they don't. The person who ruins their denial without even trying. And you're just sitting there, watching it all play out like you've seen the script before, letting them panic while you just continue being exactly who you are, exactly how you've always been, the one who calls it before anyone sees it. Hey, you there? Yeah, you. Let me talk to you for a minute, all right? 'Cause, I've been watching the way your name's been echoing outside, and wow, it's wild out there. You don't even notice it sometimes, do you? You walk around thinking you're just existing, just doing your thing, texting who you want to text, minding your business. But your name is out there causing full-blown chaos. And I don't mean the cute kind. I mean arguments, panic, obsessive little investigations, people scrolling back through old messages like detectives with no badges, just raw insecurity melting down in real time because they can't stand not knowing who you might be talking to. And that's the part that gets me, hey, because you're not doing anything outrageous, you're not starting fights, you're not putting anybody's life upside down, you're just existing, breathing, typing, and somehow that alone got people out there acting like you committed a crime by choosing where to put your attention. Do you realize what that means? Do you really get it? It means your presence is disruptive, your silence is disruptive, your phone lighting up with any notification is enough to make people lose their equilibrium. They're checking timestamps, comparing stories, stalking your socials, fighting each other over possibilities that might not even be real. You became a mystery they can't solve, an itch they can't scratch, and that drives people insane. But look at you. Look at the way you carry it. You move through your day without even noticing the pressure you put on others. The pressure of being wanted, the pressure of being feared, the pressure of being unpredictable. It's kinda funny, because you don't even try, and yet your very existence exposes people's hidden insecurities like a spotlight they never asked for. And that's why they're fighting. That's why they're stalking. That's why they're whispering about you, like you're some urban legend that pops up when their confidence drops below zero. They hate how much you matter to them, and they hate even more that they don't matter as much to you. See, that's the problem with people whose self-worth is built on control. The second you stop letting them predict you, the second you stop being their familiar little puppet, they crumble. They start imagining stories. They start building narratives in their heads. And your name becomes the monster they blame for their emotional collapse. But listen to me carefully, because this is the part nobody ever told you. It's not your job to make them feel safe. Your life is not a service. Your energy is not a subscription plan they get to dictate. You don't owe anybody a timetable, a reason, a confession, or a breakdown of who you might be texting on a random Tuesday. You're not, obligated to soothe their paranoia. You're allowed to be a mystery. You're allowed to have boundaries. You're allowed to grow past the version of yourself they memorized. And here's the twist they'll never admit out loud. They're not angry because you might be texting someone. They're angry because you finally stopped caring what they think about who you're texting. Hey, that's a different kind of freedom, isn't it? People who used to feel above you, watching you now, they panic because they don't know how to operate without access to your attention. They depended on your transparency like it was life support. They liked you predictable. They liked you compliant. They liked you answering quickly, explaining everything, shrinking yourself so their ego could breathe. And you stopped doing that. You took your energy back. You decided, hey, I'm not your emotional babysitter anymore. And that, right there, that lit the whole street on fire. Because once you choose yourself, you become uncontrollable. And nothing terrifies insecure people more than someone they can't control. Your name went from, oh yeah, I know them, to wait. Who are they talking to? Why weren't they online? Why didn't they answer? Who's got their attention now? To full-blown emotional emergency drills. People fighting with each other instead of dealing with their own reflection. People stalking your activity Like that's gonna save them from the truth they're avoiding. People rewriting history, trying to convince themselves they mattered more than they actually did. And you know what's even more amusing? They're not fighting over you. They're fighting over the version of themselves they lose around you. But you're growing into someone they can't keep up with. Someone whose value doesn't shrink to fit their comfort zones. Someone who learned, finally, that attention is currency, and you're done giving it away for free. You ever notice how the quieter you get, the louder they get? That's power. That's leverage. That's you stepping into your unpredictability, your confidence, your evolution, and forcing the world around you to adapt or fall apart trying. Your name is wild outside because you're no longer living small inside. People stalk what they can't replace. People fight for what they don't deserve. People obsess over what used to belong to them but doesn't anymore. And you just keep moving, keep evolving, keep choosing peace over explanations, keep choosing growth over guilt, keep choosing yourself over the noise. Because trust me, the streets only get this heated when someone powerful rises. And you're rising. And the funny thing is, you don't even fully realize the altitude you're reaching. You're just breathing different, moving different, thinking in ways that don't fit the old version of you. And people outside feel that shift like a temperature drop. They don't have the language for it, but they can feel you slipping out of their narrative, and it messes with them in a way they can't even explain without exposing their own insecurity. You ever notice how someone who never checked on you before suddenly becomes an expert in your patterns? Like, out of nowhere, they start saying stuff like, "This isn't how you used to act," as if they were there for every upgrade, every heartbreak, every shift that built the version of you they're panicking about right now. They're not studying you because they care. They're studying you because they're scared. Scared of losing access, scared of losing relevance, scared of being replaced in a story that no longer revolves around them. And your name hits them like a reminder they can't delete. They hear it, and something inside them just sinks. Because it means you're still out there, living, rising, evolving, texting whoever aligns with you, and they're stuck replaying memories like reruns while you're creating new chapters without them. And that's what nobody tells you when you start growing. Your glow up doesn't just attract better things. It exposes who was only comfortable when you were dimmer. Look around you. Notice how people who never had an issue with you suddenly have an issue with your distance, your silence, your new boundaries. They're not used to the version of you who doesn't over-explain. They're not used to the version of you who doesn't rush to soothe their ego. They're not used to the version of you who answers when you want, not when they expect. And while they're busy arguing about imaginary scenarios, trying to figure out who you might be texting, who you might be seeing, who you might be giving your energy to, you're over here realizing that your life finally feels like it's yours again. That freedom, it's addictive. Once you taste it, you don't go back to shrinking. You ever watch a person try to convince themselves they still matter to you? It's almost theatrical. They rehearse these little speeches in their head. They stalk your online status. They rewrite every silent minute into a story where you're probably talking to someone else. They project their fear into every gap you leave. They're arguing with their own imagination, fighting shadows you didn't create, spiraling over theories that only exist in their head. And the wildest part? You're not texting anybody half the time. You're literally just breathing, healing, drinking water, minding your business, scrolling TikTok, charging your phone. And the streets think you're masterminding some grand mystery. That tells you everything you need to know about how much weight your attention carries. People don't stalk who they've healed from. People don't argue about those they've outgrown. People don't panic over energy that doesn't threaten their comfort. Your name started doing something to them the moment you stopped trying to be understood by people who aren't capable of understanding themselves. And that shift, yeah, right there, it's making them unravel in ways you never even intended. You're not the villain, you're not the angel, you're the mirror. And mirrors terrify people who've been avoiding their own reflection. Every time they think about you texting someone, they're not imagining you. They're imagining the version of themselves they become when they feel replaced. That jealousy, that panic, that obsession. It's not admiration, it's fear of their own inadequacy. You didn't trigger it, you just revealed it. And while they're losing sleep, you're gaining clarity. You're learning what your silence exposes, what your presence provokes, what your name ignites in the hearts of people who once assumed you'd always belong to them in some quiet, convenient way. They don't understand that you're building something. They don't understand that you're not the same person who used to shrink whenever someone raised their voice or threw a little attitude. You don't flinch anymore. You don't chase anymore. You don't hand out explanations like apologies. You're realizing, you're allowed to have a life that doesn't run on anybody's expectations but your own. You're allowed to text people who speak your language. You're allowed to pull back from people who drain your peace. You're allowed to be unavailable to anyone who never learned how to value you when you were accessible. That's why they're reacting like this. That's why the streets feel hot. That's why your name sounds like a warning and a prophecy at the same time. You shifted. You elevated. You stopped asking for permission to exist. And they're out there fighting ghosts while you're stepping into a version of yourself that doesn't need to be explained to anybody. And, it's kinda wild when you realize how much of this chaos never had anything to do with what you were actually doing, but what people imagined you were doing. You became this unsolved puzzle in their head, this open tab they can't close, this notification that never pops up, but somehow still ruins their whole mood. They don't even need evidence. Just the idea of you texting someone else is enough to send their whole system glitching. And that's because your attention was their comfort blanket. Your availability made them feel chosen, even when they didn't know how to treat you like someone worth choosing back. The moment you pulled that attention away, even slightly, they lost their emotional GPS. They don't know where they stand with you anymore. And instead of building themselves up, they're tearing everything else around them down, trying to feel in control again. You ever watch someone try to predict you based on an outdated version of who you used to be? It's almost sad. They're stuck in a memory while you're busy turning into a whole new chapter. They're replaying old signals, old patterns, old insecurities, while you're tapping into a level of self-worth they never prepared for. That mismatch is what makes them spiral. They're trying to fight the storm outside when the real storm is inside them. Your silence hits people differently when they know they no longer have access to your thoughts. You used to overshare. You used to update them. You used to clarify yourself just to avoid misunderstandings. But something in you shifted. You stopped explaining things that aren't anyone's business. And that shift, Yeah, they felt it like a punch to the ego. They tell themselves you're distant. They tell themselves you're talking to someone. They tell themselves you changed. And the funny part is, they're right. But for the wrong reasons. You didn't change because of someone new. You changed because you finally realized you deserve peace, more than you deserve to be understood by people who benefit from your confusion. And, that peace. It looks suspicious to people who only feel stable when you're emotionally available to fix their insecurities. They're not used to this version of you. The one who replies when it feels right, not when it feels urgent. The one who doesn't panic at the thought of being misunderstood. The one who no longer treats other people's assumptions like emergencies that must be corrected. Your whole energy evolved into something heavier, something richer, something that can't be manipulated by cheap emotion. And the streets feel that. They feel the recalibration. They feel the upgrade. Your name pops up, and it sends them into debates, arguments, predictions, paranoia. Because it reminds them of the control they lost and the power you gained. It's kinda funny when you think about it. They're out there fighting each other. Literally fighting each other. Over theories about who you might be texting. And you're over here focusing on your future, your healing, your goals, your boundaries, your growth. You're building something real while they're wrestling with speculation. Your entire life is expanding while theirs is shrinking around their obsession with you. They don't even realize how much they expose themselves when your name comes up. The jealousy, the panic, the sudden need to know everything, the way their tone changes, the way their mood shifts, the way they start acting like Sherlock Holmes with Wi-Fi. That's what your presence does. It pushes people into their truth. The ones who are confident stay calm. The ones who are insecure combust. The ones who respected you give you space. The ones who felt entitled to you start acting like they're glitching from the inside out. And you're witnessing all of it while staying oddly unbothered. Your peace is louder than their paranoia. Your growth is louder than their gossip. Your silence is louder than their arguments. You're not provoking anything. You're just existing in a way that doesn't shrink anymore. And that alone is enough to make the wrong people unravel. Your name is still wild outside because you're living in a way that no longer fits the small box they once tried to keep you in. You stepped out of their storyline, and they're scrambling for a script that doesn't exist. You're not predictable. You're not accessible on demand. You're not the safe little version they memorized. And that unpredictability, it makes you magnetic. People fight for what they can't reach. People stalk what they can't understand. People obsess over what they can't control. And you're out here becoming someone they couldn't imagine, even with all their theories, all their arguments, all their stalking, all their assumptions. And the more they try to decode you, the more confused they get, because every version of you they're arguing about is outdated. They're debating ghosts while you're living in real time. They're stalking footprints that don't even exist anymore, because you stopped walking in circles and started moving with purpose, and that purpose. It scares people who never expected you to outgrow the role they assigned you. You ever notice how the moment you stop giving people the emotional updates they're addicted to, they start creating entire storylines in their heads? It's like your silence becomes this blank canvas, and instead of calming down, they paint their fears all over it. They're convinced you must be texting someone because they can't imagine you choosing yourself instead. They can't imagine you finally realizing that your peace is worth more than their validation. They can't imagine you healing in ways that don't involve them. And honestly, that's where the power kicks in. Your name used to be something they casually mentioned. Now it's something they whisper like it's classified information. Your name used to be familiar. Now it's unpredictable. Your name used to mean availability. Now it means they don't have access. That transition, that shift from always there to not yours anymore, is what's making them spiral. They don't recognize you without the version of themselves they projected onto you. They don't recognize the boundaries. They don't recognize the confidence. They don't recognize the silence that doesn't beg for clarity. And that unfamiliarity feels threatening to them. Because when someone can't control you anymore, their next instinct is to try to understand what or who is influencing you. They think there must be someone new. They think you replaced them. They think you moved on faster than they expected. They think your glow-up has a secret source. They don't realize you became the source. You became your own validation. You became your own peace. You became your own reminder that you're allowed to change the rules of engagement whenever your soul outgrows the old ones. And while they're busy fighting the air over assumptions, you're reconnecting with parts of yourself you forgot existed. You're learning how to sit with your thoughts without drowning in them. You're learning how to express yourself without apologizing for it. You're learning how to communicate on your terms, not out of panic, not out of insecurity, but out of alignment. And there's something intoxicating about that type of self-alignment. It sharpens you. It recalibrates you. It makes you walk differently, talk differently, react differently. Suddenly, things that used to shake you don't even get a flinch out of you. Things that used to drain you don't even get your attention. Things that used to win don't even compete anymore. Meanwhile, your name becomes heavier. Your absence becomes louder. Your presence becomes sharper. People start noticing details they never saw before. The way you don't rush to reply, the way you're not emotionally available on demand, the way you stopped performing for validation, the way you don't give them the access they used to take for granted. And, that's why they're out there arguing with each other. Not because you're texting anyone, not because you're doing anything scandalous, but because they can feel you leveling up, and they're terrified that your evolution means they'll be left behind emotionally, mentally, or spiritually. They're not fighting to understand you. They're fighting to not lose you. They're not stalking your socials because they're curious. They're stalking because they feel powerless. They're not panicking over who you might be talking to. They're panicking because they know the old version of you would have told them everything, and this version of you doesn't owe them that transparency. Your name is wild outside because you finally stopped living inside their expectations. You stopped shrinking yourself into a version that kept them comfortable. You stepped into your unpredictability, your confidence, your evolution, and suddenly the whole environment around you reacted like it felt the ground shift. They're fighting shadows, checking timestamps, replaying conversations in their head, trying to find the moment they lost the version of you they controlled. And you're just breathing, healing,